this week than I was last week. And you
Good.
kind of calmed down a little bit with the construction of the building. We had it all enclosed and stuff. So now we got to slow down a little bit and finish off the outside siding and all of that. But much easier, less stressful this week. So I'm happy to be here tonight.
Nice. Nice.
So,
Well, like I said, we do have some new folks online tonight, and it sounded like you were going to say something, so I'll just go ahead and be quiet, and we'll go from there.
no, what I was going to say is I want to acknowledge we have some new people on the line tonight. And first and foremost, I always want to make sure that whatever the reason they're on this line, they came to us for a reason, whether it's just information, whether they have specific health questions. I want to make sure that we hear from them and get their questions answered before the end of the call tonight. All of them, even if they're shy, just kind of tell us what you came on here for, what you're looking for, and we're glad and happy to help you out any way we can.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that.
So does anybody have any health questions or questions for me, my background, anything like that? I think most of the people on always hear me introduce myself. I'm an immunoenzymologist. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been in every single country in the world but 6 that has a government. And when I go to a foreign country, I work with the head of the Ministry of Health or the presidential leader of the country. So that's my background. I spent 10 years at Arizona State University medical campus that has a public library. So I was there for 10 years, 8 hours a day, no less the minimum, 6 days a week. It wasn't 7 because they aren't open on Sundays. So I do have an extensive medical background education, but it's not formally trained. I don't hold any degrees, PhDs, anything like that whatsoever. And I don't want to, because then you fall under the regulation of the FDA, the AMA, and you cannot go out and practice alternative therapies whatsoever. You'll lose your licensing, and for that reason, I don't carry any licensing whatsoever. So that's basically my background in a nutshell. And Enriching Gifts has been a company that's been around for over 20 years. It was established in November of 1999 in Honolulu, Hawaii, where I was living at the time. And before that, I used to be a private label manufacturer. So I private labeled, formulated all these different formulas, vitamins, enzymes, and antioxidants, so on and so forth, for all the great big network marketing companies like Amway, Novir, New Skin, Came. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of them, 183 in total over my 30 years of formulating and manufacturing. So, and in, like I said, November of 1999, I decided I'm done private labeling. People just won't spend the money to get the quality that I need in order to produce health, life-changing results for people. So I went out and formulated Enriching Gifts. And the name says it all. They're literally gifts that will enrich your life in every aspect you can think of, financially, health-wise, quality of nutrition. Your quality of life is determined by your body's ability to function. And that all comes down to nutrition. And about 75–80% in the marketplace, the nutrition doesn't even come close to what your body needs are to regenerate, to heal, to function daily. So that's where Enriching Gifts was born, and that's what I'm committed to, producing the absolute highest quality product that science can produce and money can buy. And they produce results every single time, no matter who uses it. So that's where Enriching Gifts was born out of, and that's what our commitment is to this day. And that's why I do these calls. So anybody from anywhere, for any part in the world can come on these calls and get help. Find the conversations where you can get solutions for problems that you and your doctor can't figure out, or you and your family can't figure out. That's what we're here for, to help you in any way possible we can overcome life's challenges and get the best quality of life given the genetics that you have. So with that being said, I'd like to open the call up for any questions regarding any health issues or anything like that. We have some new callers.
Me?
Yeah.
No, Enrique.
Yep. Anybody have any questions on the line for tonight? Anybody?
Hi, Ron. This is Hannah
there.
from North Dakota. Say, I know you have a background working with animals through the Phoenix Zoo, and I am very curious as to, well, actually, I have a horse that I'm doctoring right now. He had a severe infection and it abscessed and blew out. And anyway, I just would like your feedback as to are any of the products would be beneficial for this horse to heal and or
Well, first of all, you said he had an infection and it blew out. What area of the body are you talking about?
he had a guttural pouch infection, which is an extension of their eustachian tube. So it actually was up in his ear and down into his throat. It got very huge and very infected.
Have you been to a veterinarian to see what he has to say about it?
Yes, the most common cause of that type of infection is what they call strangles. However, he's had that in the past and they don't typically get it again. They were not able to identify the actual infection. They cultured it and they just said it was a slow growing infection. They didn't really pin it down to what it was and we don't know what caused it.
So it's in an area literally where you can't really get to it because it's in the esophagus.
Well, it's actually on the outside. It went up to through his cheekbone up towards his ear and then down into his toward his throat. And I mean, it's horrible. I could send you pictures. He's got a huge gaping hole in it when it finally did I guess, we drained it or punctured it and drained it, and it's now healing quite nicely actually. But I just, I know you would use colloidal silver on your feet, and I wasn't quite sure how to go about that.
Correct. So I was going to say, if it's an external skin surface wound, you could actually put soak gauze in colloidal silver, and then just tape it to his hide and change it about once or twice a day. And you could easily soak gauze completely through with less than a capful of silver. And what I would do is put it in a bowl and just keep soaking those gauzes until that solution of silver in that glass bowl is all used up. Because that will kill any kind of mold, fungus, bacteria, viral organisms, germs. It kills off anything and everything that it's exposed to. Even the corona, the COVID-19, it'll kill it on contact. That's why I tell people just get a spray bottle, 32 ounces, put 26 ounces of water in there, and then fill it up with 6 ounces of colloidal silver, shake it around, and spray it. Just let it dry out on your surface, because silver will literally bond with the virus and make it untransferable. It'll kill it. And that's the best way to do for any kind of, just like the burns on my feet. Before my wife put my gauze pads on it, we literally soaked them in silver first. So when they put the gauze on the bottom of my feet to keep that infection out, because there was no skin, it was 3rd-degree burns, it was just tissue. And I just got back from a nerve specialist Monday, the 8th, and he looked at the bottom of my feet, and he just shook his head, and he says, I don't know how in the heck you cannot have scars from that stuff, because I showed him the pictures of my actual burns. And he's just shaking his head, and he says, man, that is just nothing but a flat miracle. And I said, no, that's a genius mind that has a commitment to great quality products. That's what that is. And he says, yeah, he says, I'm amazed. He said, I've never seen anything like it. This was just literally Monday. So, and he asked me how I did it and stuff. And I told him about colloidal silver. He knew a little bit about it, but not much. And he said, that's all it was. I said, yep, just that, and changing gauzes twice a day. And my wife, she pretty much kept her fingers out of it, cleaned it up all the time, and that's what it was. So going back to what I would recommend for your horse is get some gauze patches and patch it all up, keep it nice and moist with that silver. And then the other things to take internally that would actually speed up some of that healing process and stuff would be the aloe max. Now, for a horse, I'm assuming you'd probably have to take about 8-10 capsules a day of it to get that healing effect, because it's such a large animal.
Right. Actually, when I've given horse products, human products in the past, they actually say give them the dosage the human takes. They're very sensitive, and a dog will actually need more of a dose than a horse will. So I guess I would follow.
So that. I would just do the 6 capsules of aloe max a day then, because that's what I always tell people with cancer or some kind of disease where their body's really damaged and they're trying to heal. Use 4 minimum and up to as much as 6 per day. And like I said, for most people, it becomes an affordability issue at some point. But if you take the 6, it will accelerate the healing about 75% faster than your body naturally could do it on its own.
Sorry, Ron, which medication was that?
That's the Aloe Ace Max. And everybody, if you've got any kind of healing whatsoever, any kind of damaged tissue in your body, whether it's from Crohn's, colitis, coronavirus, whether it's from cancer, heart disease, a surgical procedure, an old injury, the Aloe Ace Max that we have will accelerate the cellular reproductive rate of the human body of new tissue 2.7 times faster than your body does it on its own. So you literally can heal the body in about 70 to 75% faster. And it's got the specific nutrients that actually accelerate the reproductive process.
Okay, thank you.
And the faster you heal, first of all, the better healing you're going to get, and the less likely you have an exposure to an infection because of the injury. So it is important to heal as fast as you can,
Right.
and do the right things for your body to where it can heal fast. Otherwise, you really run risks on a couple different avenues of re-injury or an infection that will prolong the healing and might even prevent.
Right. And with something like blood cancer, can you just basically lick it if you've done all the right things initially?
That problem with doing this on phone is spam calls. Okay.
Go
So
ahead and
that-
repeat your question.
Okay, with something like blood cancer, if you do the right things initially, can you just lick it then? Or do you have to look out keep an eye on things later on?
No, I mean, any kind of cancer, once it's gone, then you have to manage it. Because the reason your body, anybody, animal or human, the reason you get cancer is because of suppression of the immune system's ability to function, specifically from T lymphocytes. But that's going to come into the blood environment as a whole. So anything that's going on in the blood that's inhibiting other immune system cell activity is going to inhibit your T lymphocytes, which are the only cells that make up the human immune system that will destroy cancer cells in the human body. That's done by a very specialized cell called the cancer-killing cell, or T lymphocyte. T killer helper cell is the proper name for it. And again, the sterile max that we actually have a product that will enlarge the immune system cells up to 6 times larger than normal, up to 400% increased nucleus material. That's the material that the cell uses to function with. And as a result of those two, 6 times larger, 400% increased material, you could actually increase the overall efficiency and functioning of the human T lymphocyte up to 759% more efficient and functioning. And that's what's going to get rid of cancer for people. It's not products, it's your immune system T lymphocytes. So anytime you've got ingredients and products like we have that focus on the actual functionality of the cell, to where you can enlarge it and it becomes so much more efficient because now of the factor of more material to work with, that we can enlarge the cell, but you still have to keep the bloodstream clean, that all those new enlarged cells have to function within. So clean up their environment, keep their environment nice and clean, and that's what we do with the enzymes, the plant enzymes. Because it's one thing to increase the efficiency of immune system functionality, but that efficiency is only going to be able to be manifested or displayed in your life and in your health as long as the environment that cell has to function within is kept pristine clean, meaning no heavy proteins that are going to become immune suppressing agents, things like that. There's definitely a way that we can definitely help out almost anybody that suffers from cancer. And like I tell people, though, age has a tremendous amount to do with it. Genetics has a tremendous amount to do with it. Your diet has a huge amount to do it, and that's going to be directly tied into genetics as far as your overall digestive efficiency, how strong is your digestion, what kind of food allergies do you have. All of these things play factors into the overall strength of the human body's functioning. And your body's functionality is only as good as the nutrition it's getting provided to it. And there's 2 things that are factors of what gives good nutrition provided the human body. The first and foremost is a good source of nutrition. You can't just go out and eat garbage and think you're giving your body good nutrition. But even all these people that spend all this money and go to tremendous efforts that tried to buy organic, eat clean, eat raw, eat this, eat that. But yet they completely forgot about once you consume it, there still is a huge process that has to be done efficiently in order for a body to utilize all that nice, clean, expensive nutrition. It's called digestion with enzymes. And
Right.
as people age, you lose 8 to 10% of your digestive enzyme production every decade we live our life. And even all these celebrities, all these top-notch doctors, like Dr. Terry DeBro, I see him all the time on Home Shopping, Shop HQ Network out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, him and his wife Heather. And I'm telling you, the guy doesn't know the first doggone thing. He's a doctor as an MD, so everybody pushes them. And they don't even have a plant-based enzyme anywhere in their product line. And, you know, I guarantee if I asked him, you're 45 years old, how efficient is your digestion? He's like, what are you talking about? And that's the benefit of having all this licensing and stuff. I guess it gives you credibility to the masses. But digestion is the most critical functionality process of the human body, because every single cell relies on nutrition and function, nutrition and water and heat. Those are the three factors that allow the human body to function at any capacity or efficiency at all. And the largest one that damages all of that is lack of enzyme production for an efficient digestive process. And like I said, every decade we live, we lose 8 to 10% less of the enzymes our body produces for the digestive process. So at some point, and it's usually about the time of 35, 45 years old, when everybody starts developing all these cancers and different diseases and illnesses. Well, why is that? Because you can no longer digest your meals, and now your meal proteins, your meat, flesh, and your protein diet, it's actually inhibiting your immune system's ability to function to destroy cancer cells as they're being developed in your body. Everybody has cancer cells developing in their body throughout an entire lifetime. And yet, over 70% of people never ever get cancer at all in any degree of a disease form throughout an entire lifespan. So why not? Because those people have, one, good genetics, so they have very, very longevity genes, so they have very high amount of enzyme production late into their 80, 90 years of age. Okay. So good genetics play a part in that. But let me just say this, because I'm a guy that has some severely bad genetics. But I finally figured out about 35 years ahead of all my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, even my older brothers and sisters and older cousins that have already passed on and stuff. I've got this figured out. I should be able to now, with that being said, I had a telomere test done that says genetically should not be able to live beyond 70, 72 years old. Well, I'm 64. I'll be 65 this year. So, you know, I've got about another 6, 7 years left at best, according to my genetics and according to science. Mm-hmm. But one thing I do know, as long as you have the ability to digest, your body has the ability to provide nutrition. And usually if you have nutrition, the body just cellularly keeps reproducing itself until it no longer can, because your digestive system is so worn out, you no longer have efficient functioning of cells because of lack of nutrition. So I'm my own experiment, and I'm coming close to where I'll be able to either prove this or not be able to prove this. Because I've even had my telomeres tested by the top telomere testing company in the world. So we'll have to see how that all plays itself out. But going back to the whole digestive enzyme thing, digestion, antioxidants, probiotics, and the Steromax. Steromax is for your immune system. Plant enzymes for digesting every meal, getting maximum nutrition to the cellular body without having the immune complex proteins circulating in the blood, because you didn't have enough enzymes to digest the protein properly. And they're called floating immune complex proteins. They actually interfere with efficiency of the immune system's ability to function, as well as blood pressure, occupying a lot of space in the blood with very little value for the occupancy.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody? Even the new ones?
Ron, we have a message in the chat. It says, hi, Dover. So I'm not sure. It's probably meant for you. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. It's on heart algae, and it's from James. And can this heart algae product impact both human eye health and dog eye health is the question.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about eye health. You've heard about the herb bilberry. So what is bilberry? How does it benefit the human eye so much? Because everybody that used to talk about eye health, the first thing they said is, oh, you should be on bilberry. You need to get on bilberry. Well, what is bilberry? Bilberry has very high antioxidant properties to it. And that's one of the things, because your eye, think about it, your eye, you look at your eyeball, it's not covered with a bunch of skin like the rest of the body. So it's exposed to extreme oxidation. And that's one of the things that causes macular degeneration, is heavy oxidation. And oxidation will literally damage the exterior of the tissue, whether it's the vein, the iris, the optic nerve, no matter what it is. So the astaxanthin that's in the heart algae is very, very high in its antioxidant properties. And you can virtually almost totally eliminate oxidation to any part of the eye tissue or the veins or anything that circulates in and around the eyeball itself. Yeah, it's very, very beneficial. To make a short answer easy, yes, heart algae will definitely tremendously benefit anybody, animal or human, with eye issues. And I would really recommend using at least 4 capsules per day in order to kind of work with a damaged eye or damaged iris or poor quality blood vessels where they're actually oxidizing and leaking. You see little red blood spots in the eye and stuff. That's typical damage. Your blood's literally leaking out of those tiny, tiny little veins and vessels going through your eye. And it's usually 99% of the time oxidative damage, where the actual outer wall of the vein is so oxidized, it's deteriorating, drying out, getting holes in it. And that's what oxidation does.
Ron, could you talk about cataracts briefly? Also, my husband has been diagnosed with cataracts, and we're looking at surgery at this point. So,
well, cataracts usually is a big protein buildup, and again, the enzymes would help to break that protein down. It could even help to dissolve the actual accumulation of the cataract itself. But I'll be honest with you, and then the heart algae would help tremendously with not only the antioxidant value, but the aloe would actually help to heal all of that. But I'll be honest with you, about 80% of the people that I've worked with still ended up, and most of them opted to do the surgery. Because like I said, if it becomes like glaucoma and things like that, macular degeneration, there's a whole bunch of different eye issues. One thing I can tell you, once you get rid of the cataract itself, then you go on the aloe, the heart algae, and the digestive enzymes. Usually you'll never ever have any issues with your eyes up until the time you die. Because your body gets the cellular regeneration, you get the healing, and then you're continually addressing the things that actually allow the cataract to become part of the eye tissue itself. And the enzymes, like I said, the enzymes, the heart algae, and the aloase, they'll prevent all of that stuff from coming back, and you get a really good healing after that surgical procedure. And even your doctor will tell you 90% of the people that actually have cataract surgeries, their cataracts are back within 5 to 7 years. Because you haven't changed the way the body functions that allows for that condition to become part of the eye or part of your body. When you get it fixed and corrected, now let's work on the root cause of why it became part of your body in the first place. And that's because of a suppressed immune system, lack of antioxidants, and just a very poor turnover in the digestive process. And we definitely could reverse all of that.
thank
So
you.
that help you out?
Yes, it did, and it seems to be a genetic problem because his.
Oh, it is. Let me just say something, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's not one single problem in anybody's life that isn't genetically linked. We are nothing more than a set of two parents, about 75% of one and about 20% of the other one, and about 5% of aunts, uncles, grandma, and grandpa. That's who we are as people. So when you say that, well, it seems to be genetically linked, every single thing about each and every one of us that walk this planet is genetically linked. We weren't just made up out of thin air. We were made of two sets of genetics from two very specific people. So everything is genetically linked. Now, there is such a thing as weird mutation. Well, like somebody has diabetes. Well, there's no history of diabetes in our family genetics. Well, if you're going to be drinking soda every single day and drink a case of it every day, eventually you're going to wear out that pancreas and damage it so bad. And then the sugar is going to start taking over, deteriorating your body, and you will become a diabetic, even though there's nothing in your genetic family history. There's also drugs for treatment of different diseases and illnesses. The side effects actually create diabetes. The side effects actually create cancer. So these, all of this drug stuff, the side effects, if you research it back and all of a sudden you got cancer and yet there's no history of cancer in your family anywhere, but yet you were in a car accident and you've been on this drug for 10 years. Oh, well, guess what the side effect of that drug is? Cancer. Well, there you go. And that's how you usually put all of this stuff together. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to just make this very important point. Everything is genetically linked. So if you had the ability to talk to your parents, especially your mother and your father, and try to figure out which one do you take most after, because there's always a very dominant set of genetics that make up a human being. Like I said, it's not an even split 50-50. It's not even close. You're about 75% of one parent and only about 20% of the other. And then you got about 5% of grandma, grandpa, and your brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, whatever. And that's the way the human body's put together. So now go ahead and finish asking your question. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no, you're fine. You just clarified that for me. I did say both of his sisters have had the surgery, so it seems to be
Right.
pretty common in his family line. So.
Right. And you say both of his sisters. Now, do you know which parents that actually took after? So who was the parent of your husband and his sisters? Who was the parent that had the same problem?
I don't know. His dad died shortly after we were married, and his mother, as far as I know, didn't have cataract issues. She had diabetes, but so I'm honestly not sure about that.
Yeah, and they're probably not alive to figure out grandma and grandpa or mom, dad's side of the family and all of that stuff. Yeah, but I mean, if they were available and had conversations and stuff, you'd be amazed at how all of this stuff just tracks right up to. It takes about 4 generations to breed a disease or condition into the human body, and it takes about 4 generations to completely eliminate. Like I have heart disease, and my mom, my dad, my 19 aunts and uncles, their brothers and sisters, all 21 of them died of heart attacks or strokes, all of them. So I started this conversation of once I got educated myself and I started taking enzymes, I am bound and determined. My daughter, Talia, who runs the internet now, she has been practicing great nutrition and anti-heart disease lifestyle and stuff. And now they've even got their son, Corbin, all indoctrinated into the anti-heart disease diet and lifestyle. And I'll tell you what, Corbin's children that he has won't have heart disease in the genetics anymore. Because like I said, it usually takes 3 to 4 generations to breed a disease into a family strain, and takes about 3 to 4 generations of everybody doing everything right to eliminate that trait from the heart disease and genetics in a person. So it can be done, though. That's the wonderful thing about science. We've been able to prove that it can be done. But it takes 2 to 3 generations of everybody doing everything right to be able to do that. So what else in that question did you have that I haven't answered yet?
No, that was pretty much it. I was looking for the products that would most be beneficial for him, and actually the cause of the cataracts, which I suspected was a protein buildup, but you answered it perfectly. Thank you.
It is. Yeah, and most of the time people that start to develop these problems are in their 60s. And I don't know, again, you'd have to know the genetics of the family as far as how old were they when they died, what did they actually die from? Was it a car accident, or was it from Parkinson's or cancer or heart attack or stroke or something like that? Natural causes, you can pretty much tell what your longevity genes are if you can track to the right person, either the father or the mother. And that has a lot to do with it, because you'll see that there's people in their 50s that have started to develop glaucoma and macular degeneration, things like that. Then you see people that it doesn't show up till they're in their 80s or 90s. But it showed up in their father in their 80s. It showed up in their sisters in their 80s. It showed up in grandma on her side of the family in their 80s. And it always just will run like that. It's just shows an arrow. It will always run like that. I mean, less than 1% of that stuff is like freak, like, wow, can't figure out where that came from. 99% of it, you can just track it genetically right up the line. So, but it all starts with that whole lack of digestion, because when you have all that foreign protein that's in the body way too long, it oxidizes. And once it's in the body longer than 12 hours, it's going to become solid. And when things solidify through oxidation, they're going to start being stored and deposited either in tissues, joints. Muscles can hold a little bit of it, but fat holds a lot of it because there's a lot of storage space in fat cells. But it will become part of your body. And that's where you start to see the weight gain, then the bloating outwards of the human body, because you're just accumulating a whole bunch of undigested crap that you've consumed in your diet. And the only reason that you start accumulating it because you didn't have the ability to produce enough enzymes to digest it. Because your body, especially if you're fairly young and fairly in shape, your muscle tissue is always looking for any kind of a food source, especially protein. And protein has the highest potential of anything that we consume to oxidize and build up in the human body. So, and cataracts is just one example of those things where they start depositing these very poorly digested, very poor circulated vessels. So, and you get on plant enzymes and you start getting the digestion back in. One, you get much higher nutrients. And then the longer you're on enzymes, the more and more enzyme buildup you have in the blood. And these are active enzymes. They'll start to go way out beyond the digestive tract and start circulating through the bloodstream active, where they can actually break down oxidized LDL cholesterol, make it serum and fluid and circulating again, so you get rid of that. You can just, it's an amazing thing what you can do with the human body when you truly understand it, and you've got some great quality products to work with. I just see miracles show up all over the world. Some of it, you have no explanation for it other than, boy, that was really good stuff. Amazing. Look at that. And I've said that probably a few hundred times over my 30 years that I've been doing this.
We have a couple comments in the chat, Ron, both from Sanj. I know one of them came during your talk. He said epigenetic. Oh, my, I butchered that one. Epigenetics. And he has another question that says, what's the best supplement to build cartilage? So if you can speak on those two.
Well, cartilage, you can build cartilage by consuming cartilage, like chicken cartilage. They have cartilage supplements out there. But again, your body can build cartilage on its own if it has an efficient digestive process. That's where you start to see cartilage, especially in your joints, your knees, your elbows, your wrists. So you start to see cartilage deterioration because your body's digestive efficiency starts to go down. It's not that you're not getting it in the diet anymore. You're losing the ability to digest what you're consuming. So cartilage is one of those things that deteriorates fairly quickly if it's not getting nutrition to be maintained. But bone broth soup is another one that helps to build cartilage. And like I said, they actually have cartilage capsules now that you can go out and consume. Chicken cartilage is most of those cartilage capsules are made out of. So, but again, you can take all the cartilage you want. If your body doesn't have the ability to digest it down to where it can be utilized as nutrients to build cartilage with, it's not going to make any difference anyway. So again, I'm going to go right back to everybody over the age of 30 needs to start taking a daily digestive enzyme every meal they consume. Because that's why, here's something that's really important. I haven't talked about this in, gosh, probably 10 years at least. This is one thing that I've really had a bone with, and I really wanted to get on to Larry King Live and have it out with him a little bit, and some of these other so-called experts on nutrition in the human body. Because here's some simple facts. And anybody who wants to argue these facts with me, I'm happy to have that argument, conversation, and challenge any day of the week. Here's fact number one, and this is why I left private labeling to all of these different companies. I mean, I was making tens of millions of dollars back in the real early 90s. And I put most of it, almost all of it, in directly into scientific and medical research and clinical trials, developing this Enriching Gifts formula product line. But here's some facts that I want everybody to think about. And don't take my word for it. Please, for once in your life, don't believe me. Challenge me. I want you guys to do this. Because when you figure this out and you can see this for yourself as a fact, now you're going to be empowered to have the conversations like I'm having with all of you tonight with anybody that puts himself in front of you. A doctor, the highest degree medical person in the world, the highest degree scientific person in the world. Here's some simple facts. And I got all these independent institutions to back it up. So if you go to the National Cancer Society today, are we living with less cancer today per population in the world, or more cancer affects more of the population today? We have a higher incidence of cancer worldwide, even here in America. Do we have less heart disease in the world today or more? We have more. In fact, you can go to any single degenerative disease category. We are living as a sicker population worldwide than we ever have in recorded medical history. Do we have things that can prevent this stuff? Well, according to the medical system, yes. But it's not drugs. They're going to lower your LDL cholesterol, which is directly related from your diet 90% of the time, and all this other stuff. And yet, since 1974, so this is going back 50 years almost, since 1974, there has been over, I think it's 67% of the adult population, so that's people over the age of 18. 67% of the adult population since 1974 has been consuming on a daily basis some kind of a dietary supplement, food-based, natural-based. And yet today we have the highest incidence in any category you want to look at: diabetes, arthritis, cancer, heart disease, strokes, so on and so forth. We have the highest incidence of disease and illness per capita, per population anywhere in the world you want to look at. Even in the healthier countries, cancer's starting to go up, arthritis is starting to go up, diabetes is running rampant worldwide. That's because of the westernized diet. You get your supersized Coke with your McDonald's meal. That's the kind of crud that this is all creating. But you can look out into the world and every single disease is at an all-time high. And yet for almost 50 years, we've been taking all these dietary supplements and vitamins and all this stuff to prevent, reverse, or even call cure. Has it worked? No. A resounding hell no. Why? Because nobody is doing what I've been preaching and doing for 30 years. Everybody just follows the next bad thing out in the marketplace that's hot, whether it's alpha lipoic acid, whether it's pycnogenol, whether it's the keto diet, whether it's this supplement, whether it's that supplement. And I'm telling you, everybody is just mad nuts. Nobody is even thinking with a bit of common sense. Here's two facts. One, from birth to death, every 10 years, the human body produces 8 to 10% less digestive enzymes for the digestion of your daily meals. So at some point, your body starts to become nutritionally deficient and inefficient at its functioning process, all of it. And two, nobody's out there promoting enzymes as first and foremost. Because if you can't get it from your diet and you're getting a disease and illness, what the heck makes you think that just by taking supplements, all of a sudden it's going to magically prevent it? It doesn't, because those supplements have to be digested as well, like any other nutrient that you would consume to get into the cellular body. That's why nutrition and supplements have not changed the course of disease and illness in anybody. That's why the medical doctors want to poo-poo the whole vitamin industry. That's a bunch of crap. It hasn't done anything. All I have to do is look at the statistics. Here, take my Lipitor drugs that have all these side effects, and well, eventually you'll become a cancer patient from the side effects of statin drugs. So they're no longer right, then we are wrong. But there's a single reason for all of this. Nobody has got the digestive enzyme in their supplements. Every single product Enriching gets produced with the exception of two, the Daily Detox and the Coral Calcium. And you don't need enzymes in order to utilize either one of those. In fact, you don't want to break down the herbs in the Daily Detox because it becomes less effective. You want it to be in its natural form with the essential oils that stimulate that mucus production so you can get rid of constipation and things like that and have more regular bowel movements. But other than that, every single formula I have, whether it's the vitamin, whether it's the antioxidant, whether it's the Steromax, the immune builder, whether it's the hard algae, whether it's the aloe ace max, whether it's the probiotics. Every single formula I produce has its own digestive enzymes and minerals to activate those enzymes right in each and every single capsule. That's why I'm different than everybody else in the marketplace. You take my multivitamin, put in a glass of cooked oatmeal, put in the 5 capsules, guess what? You'll liquefy that oatmeal in a matter of seconds to complete water. I can do it with the aloe ace, I can do it with the hard algae, I can do it with any supplement I got. And you can't do that with any other supplement in the marketplace. And people say, why, when I use your products, do I keep getting these great results? And I've tried everything under the sun, and it hasn't done that. Why are you so different? And I said, because mine works. But mine works because I have a very specific understanding in the formulation of things. Nothing works without the digestive enzymes and the minerals to activate those enzymes. It just doesn't. And there's the problem with the entire global health epidemic that's going on with disease and illness globally. You won't find another product line like mine. You just don't. And if you think you have, a lot of people claim they have, put it in the oatmeal. Oh, well, we have living algae. We have living this. These are living nutrients. Really? Put it in the oatmeal. See if it'll liquefy that. No, it won't. Simple. No, it won't. Go ahead and waste your money. It's $200, $300, $400 a bottle. Go ahead. I want to see you do it. And then you call me. And everybody does because they're like, you're right. Wow. Wow. Okay, so tell me more. And that's why we do these calls, because it makes sense. There's got to be something missing, and I mean tremendously missing, in the world of the general population to have all these disease statistics running at all-time highs. You know, they projected just in the next 5 years, it's not even 5 years, we're already in 2020. By the year 2025, over 50% of the United States population will be walking around as a diabetic. 50%. So taking insulin doesn't prevent anything. But as long as they got all this sugar and all this Pepsi and all these commercials on TV and everybody's drinking up all this sugar, you're just really putting a burden on the pancreas to produce all of this insulin. And every organ in the human body has a very finite amount and ability to reproduce itself cellularly. You can't just magically reproduce your cells forever. No, that's part of your genetic coding. You have a very limited amount of times that you will be able to reproduce any cell in the human body according to your genetics over your entire lifespan. You can never make more cells. You can never reproduce more cells than what your genetic programming is programmed to do. You can never, ever do it. You can't change genetics once you're born. So I really want everybody to get this, because until the world gets this, we're always going to be dealing and struggling with disease and illness. And it's not about your diet. Your diet, I mean, I hate to say this, but I can get as good a nutrition out of a cardboard box as most people can get out of an organic orange or banana. There's nutrition in everything that comes from nature if you can digest it. And that's the key, if you can digest it. And all these people that have all these really expensive supplements, and they always got to come out with this new thing, and it's a redesigned blueberry that's, you know, special species from 1 million years ago. And it just, you know, that's all network marketing hype and a whole bunch of market crap as far as I'm concerned. The body, we've already identified all the nutrients that needed in order to have a very high-functioning human body. They've already been identified. We know the cells, we know the nutrients, activate the enzymes that carries out the cell functioning. We've identified all genes in the human body now. The entire genome has already been discovered in the Bill Clinton administration. So we know all of this stuff, and yet we still have this stupid disease and illness going up and up and up. More and more and more people dying of cancer and heart disease. In fact, just the last probably 6, 7 years, you can't even look around and talk to anybody without knowing somebody that's dying of cancer or dealing with cancer. So these are the reasons. There's a reason behind this, and there's a solution behind this. I just can't seem to get on Sean Hannity or on Joe Rogan or Kylie Jenner or get to this big exposure out in the worldwide media. I just can't seem to get there. But I have the solutions. I have the answers. We've helped millions and millions and millions of people all over the world fact, Nigeria still exists as a country today because of what I was able to help people do over in Africa with the AIDS epidemic, with the sterols and glucosides, with the help of Dr. Carl Pagel. We were able to totally change and transform the country of Nigeria to just a Hercules immune system. Where now, because when I was over there in 1994 through 1998, they had predicted that by the year 2020, which is today, because it was only 25, 27 years, they predicted Nigeria, a country of 30 million people, wouldn't even exist anymore because 1 out of 2 people were actually being born with or living with HIV/AIDS. So that's the impact I had on the entire African continent. And like I tell people, you know, over in Africa, these products are still being sold today in hospitals and used as drugs for the treatment of HIV and other diseases and illnesses. They actually have drug ID numbers right on the bottle. So anyways, I got a little bit off topic for that question, but I think I probably answered a little bit of it. And if I didn't, let me go right back to it and I'll answer it very 2 cents alike and kind of stay on topic here. I know we got new people on here, and it's important that you get where we come from as a company, where I'm coming from as a formulator. There is help here for everybody, but it all has to start with the fundamental understanding of how the human body functions and how it also deteriorates regardless of your genetics. These are just natural processes of deterioration, but we're aware of them. We know about them. We know how to counteract them, and we know how to compensate for them. So did that answer your question or help you out? Okay, well, I'm not sure where they went. Did anybody else have any questions?
Yes, Ron, I do. My name is Fedrive. Joe actually introduced me to Enriching Gifts. I've been on this call a few times with you when I was having digestive issues, mainly constipation. And I've been on your enzymes for maybe 4 months, I want to say now.
Okay.
And I've been using that with the detox. And so I was recommended to try your complete vitamin and your amino acids for the future. And that's kind of what I'm looking at now. Just keep in mind, I am a leukemia survivor as a child, and now I'm 35. So that's pretty much been my only issue right now is what you just said, the most important thing, which is your gut. So
right.
I'm just trying to, you know, have these good habits that you're talking about for longevity. And I mainly, you know, personally, I want to exercise more so that I can get down maybe 20 pounds, if that, which is not really a lot in the long run. But what is really, you know, I got a little sidetracked when looking at the bottles that, you know, you're supposed to take the enzymes before you eat. But then I heard the vitamins give you so much energy, you have to do that in the morning. And then you take the amino acids. So I'm like, when do you do everything just right? if I were to get everything and really try to put this in the routine now.
Well, but let me just go back up. First of all, I want to ask you, so how did the daily detox and the enzymes, how'd they help you with the constipation? You're pretty good now? You got that figured out in your regular?
Yes, I think from my observation, I need more fiber because it's still a little painful, to be honest. But other than that, the flow is more regular.
Right. So how many daily detox are you actually taking a day, 1 or 2?
I take 2 every evening.
Okay, so let me just change this up just a little bit for you. For one, because you're right, you do need more fiber, but taking it at the end of the day after the meals have already been consumed isn't doing you any good. And that's one of the main things that's in that daily detox is that big, bulking, swelling fiber. That'll really swell up. But what it does, if you take it in the morning, right with your morning meal, because that's actually going to be with the meal, and that fiber swells up like a softball, and that mixes with that food, keeping it loose. And so you're going to have much better bowel movements. You're going to have much better results And you're probably only going to be using one, maybe two, but I doubt it. You might take 1 to 2 a day for the first 2-3 days, and after that you're getting diarrhea because now you're using them the proper way. So again, that's why I love to do these calls. Dover, I know where I talked about probably not taking the summer off and stuff, but that's exactly why I do this, so everybody can get back on the right path. Let's start doing things at its most efficient way of benefiting us. And so when you take the daily detox, always take it in the morning with your morning meal. And you only need to take one.
With the enzymes as well?
Yep. You just take it with the meal, same time you take the enzymes, because you're always going to consume the digestive enzymes just before you start chewing the food. Not 5 minutes, not 1 minute. Swallow a couple, 2-3 capsules, whatever, how much ever protein you have in front of you. And then you can take the detox with that, and then you start eating your meal. And as the food starts digesting, when it comes down, that capsule detox is already dissolved, and that fiber intermingles with the food as it's coming in, and it actually swells, keeping everything nice and loose. So you don't get those compacted stools that cause constipation. And the other benefit is if you take it with your meals, you're actually getting it mixed with the meal, and there's some insoluble fiber in there, and that actually scrapes all that mucus and LDL cholesterol it's oxidizing off of the GI tract wall. So now you keep nice, clean tissues that produce that mucus snotty layer about every 3 to 4 days to prevent your fecal matter as it goes through the GI tract from embedding itself into the tissues, creating leaky gut, Crohn's, irritable bowel syndrome, all those kind of tissue damage diseases to the GI tract. And again, that's because of lack of fiber. There's just nothing to scrape loose all of that old stuff. So it's really important to take daily detox with your meal, and the best time to get the best benefit is just take one in the morning right with your meal. And you can take your enzymes before you consume the meal.
That's the only time you take it then? Just once during the day? So since I take two, I wouldn't take one in the morning, one in the evening?
That's correct. And the best time to take it to get the best results is just one capsule in the morning. And you do that for a couple days. If you still have pretty stiff stools, then just go ahead and take one in the morning and then take one with your evening meal, but not at night, not at bedtime or anything like that. You always want to take daily detox with the meal. That's when it's going to work. It's magic. And once you start getting a little loose, you want to make sure to stop taking the detox in the evening. Just take, because I'm kind of crazy that way now too. I'm getting older. My family genetics, I have heart disease everywhere. That's directly linked to really poor protein digestion. So that's why I've been taking these enzymes all these years. But I'm finding as I'm getting older, I have to take more enzymes and I have to take an extra detox capsule. So now I am up to taking one in the morning, one in the evening with my meal. And I would take that evening one every third day. And my stools are just regular. I'll have two of them every day, but I only eat twice a day because I'm usually so busy. And as far as, taking the vitamin, the aloe, and all these other things, I'd like you to make sure that what you're doing, you're getting great results with first before you move on to starting to incorporate more things into your daily life. Because after all, we're only here to try to fix something that you have some issues with. Try to compensate for what your body's losing the ability to do. And I think the multivitamin is just a great idea in general because we have what we call the fundamental 5-pack for optimum health. And that literally, if you focused on those 5 products, you could live the entire lifespan optimum according to your genetic inheritance. There would be no slowdown, no disease, no this, no that. And that is enzymes first for digestion, the Steromax second for building the immune system, and not only building it, but keeping it like a Hercules, very, very strong. The older you get, the more your immune system is going to be incorporated into your daily life as far as importance and significance. Then the third one is the probiotics. Make sure to keep the GI tract nice and clean, keep everything moving good. And then the fourth is the first one is digestion, second one is the immune system, third one is daily detox, fourth one is probiotics, and the fifth one is the multivitamin. But if you have a pretty decent diet, you can switch out the multivitamin or the amino acid, like I said, if you want to lose some weight loss. I'm always conscious about the expense of this to everybody. Not everybody has a $200 or $175 you can just throw away on supplements every month. So I always try to have these conversations about, okay, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And let's accomplish your goal first, because that does one thing. It empowers you to believe in what we're doing. Now we're going to go to the next one. Now we're going to the next one, but it's affordable. You're getting all of these
Correct.
goals and all of these results affordably. And it doesn't take a lot. Because like I said, the average person is going to go out and blow $500-600 on food for a month anyway. And again, supplement means in addition to something else. Supplements should not be your primary source. I know it sounds crazy coming from a CEO of a company that sells things to make a living, but it should only be a secondary backup. And we got the best backup there is, but I'd really encourage people to do the primary things that they can do with their daily diet, their exercise, their food, the types of foods. Do the things you need to do right first, and then we can always fill in the gaps with supplements.
Well, currently, that's all I'm on. I'm not on a probiotic, so maybe you would probably recommend me get the probiotic before the multivitamin or the amino acid, if that's a priority.
Correct. Yeah, because the better digestion you're going to have, the less weight gain you're going to have to deal with. The multivitamin, if you're actually halfway health conscious, most people eat pretty good. I mean, they'll eat a raw banana, they'll eat a carrot once in a while, they'll eat fruits. That people love fruits. If you have the ability to digest it, most people's diets has nutrition that you can get into. Now, when you're challenged with it, and that's a healthy person. When you're challenged with a disease or an illness, that's when supplements really can come to the rescue, because now you're dealing with a broken down body. Everything is not going to work nearly as efficient anymore. You're going to struggle with digestion. You're going to struggle with cellular and organ functioning. But that's where supplements can really come in and play a vital role in getting the body balanced and back up to the point where it can function at a healthy efficiency capacity. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about the multivitamin right now. Let's just kind of further enhance that overall GI tract health, get those bowel movements moving good. The enzymes, like I say, the daily detox, take those with your meals. Take them in the morning, not in the evening. Take one every day, and if you start getting too loose, then start skipping every other day. Because you don't want to take more than what your body needs. Because if you do, especially mine, you'll actually create a real bad diarrhea problem. And then the second thing is to get the probiotics. Let's get that environment of digestion, the GI tract, really, really healthy, where there's nothing damaging the tissues, things are working good, the pH is balanced by the presence of the bacteria and the oxygen. Once you get that working really good, you're going to find out that the reliance and importance on vitamins and other things, they're really not there. Most of what you're getting is already in your daily diet. So like I said, it sounds kind of funny from a guy trying to promote supplements that I'm not trying to promote supplements, but I'm not here to sell anybody anything. I'm here to get great results for everybody. And we can do that. We just got to methodically go through things month by month, phase by phase. That makes sense.
It does. No, and thank you. I appreciate that. I think definitely after getting this more under control, I'll just naturally go in that direction.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and as far as the weight loss, a lot of people gain weight because they're not digesting their meals. They're actually accumulating all this poorly digested protein and stuff from their diet into their organs and into their fat cells. And once you get your digestion efficiency really going and stuff, now you're maximizing nutrition. You're actually reducing the amount of toxins that your body is accumulating, and you're reducing the amount of protein that's being stored and oxidized in your GI tract and bowels and in your fat cells. So, like I said, let's get the digestive system really working perfectly, and you're going to see that'll carry over into benefiting several other areas of the body where you're trying to focus a little bit on. And one of the things that I know about the enzymes, they can be used as weight loss just by themselves. But you have to have a real efficient digestive system first. And then the amino acids is something I swore I'd never, ever, ever have a weight loss product. But amino acids is what the body uses in order to build and maintain muscle tissue And most people really suffer and they deteriorate in their muscle tissue mass because they're loss of digestive enzymes, particularly protease enzymes. So they're not getting the amino acid out of full breakdown of the protein that they're consuming in their daily meals, whether it be chicken or throwing in protein powders or algae or whatever. That all has to be broken down into its most broken down state, which is amino acids. That's what protein is all broken down to, is amino acids. And your muscle tissue is always looking for amino acids to carry out not only its functionality, but to rebuild and maintain itself. And muscle tissue is the most active tissue in the human body. It'll burn up to 7 to 15 times more calorie than any other organ or tissue that exists in the human body. So muscle tissue, when you want to lose weight, just build more muscle mass. Force the body to consume more calories that you're consuming. And just like my buddy Tom Mano, who was a Guinness Book World Record holder in the bench press, that guy was just a walk-in furnace. You couldn't even get within 5 feet of him, and he started sweating even at 30 below zero. I'm not joking. I took him and his wife through the pass up at Yellowstone Park, lookout pass up above Red Lodge, and we were in my Sebring. He was over on one side. We were both so big, we were touching shoulders. And his wife and Diane says, "Oh my God, open up some windows. It's like a furnace in here." It was 31 degrees below zero. So that's where your body's going to burn all these excess calories. And the more muscle tissue you have, it's not all about exercising and running and this and that. It is about building and maintaining muscle tissue mass. And the more muscle tissue mass you have, the less restrictive you have to be with your diet. Because even consuming all this fat and garbage food, like I used to tease Tom, I says, "Who's your chef?" "Ma Denny's." You know, Denny's restaurant, the guy just ate there all the time. And yet he's just this massive muscular guy. So when you have muscle, it's going to burn any kind of calories that you put into it, regardless of where it came from. And that's how you control weight. Whether you want to lose weight, build more muscle mass, which forces the body to metabolize more calories from the diet you consume. So there is nothing to build fat or support fat. In fact, you're breaking down fat using the calories from that because you're not getting enough calories that you can consume in your daily diet. And that's just the way that all works. So,
well, thank you again.
Trying to lose weight, well, what are you doing? You're actually supporting muscle tissue mass from being deteriorated. And so if you're out just walking, and I'm not talking about in the gym exercise, I'm talking about simple little things. And protein is a catabolic food. So you eat more protein, there's no calories left over to be stored as fat. You're going to use up all the calories in the meat source. And then your body's going to have to break down fat because there's not enough calories in the meat because it's all catabolic food or calorie depleted. Now your body's going to break down fat that's stored and just to finish off digesting the meat. So you could actually use the digestive process based on food choice to lose pounds off your body. And that's what the whole keto diet's all about. But the keto diet has a very, very big, deep flaw. It's a deep hole, and I'm telling you, Satan's down there waiting for everybody to get to the edge because he's going to come up and grab you when you're on that diet long enough. And that is severe joint pain and calcium loss. Because the only thing your body can have to neutralize calcium or the acid that has to be produced in order to effectively process all that meat, flesh, protein diet through your body on the keto diet, all that acid, there's no place in the human body that benefits the presence of hydrochloric acid that's in the acid stomach. There's no place outside the acid stomach that the human body benefits from the presence of that. In fact, it'll actually dissolve holes in your arteries called acidosis if you get too much of it circulating in the bloodstream. And the only thing the body has to neutralize the acid once it's produced is calcium. And if you don't take a lot of calcium with that keto diet, guess what? Your body's going to go straight to your bone tissue and leach it out of your bone, bring it in the bloodstream to neutralize the acid that got into the bloodstream from your food source and your protein you consume. So although it's a popular diet for weight loss, it does have that hell waiting for you at the end of about 7 to 10 years. And you're going to be the biggest regret you ever even went on that diet for a long term. And long term, I'm saying more than 3 months on a cycle. That's a diet that has to be cycled on and off in order to do it safely and preserve your bone tissue. So, but we can get into that a little bit later. Like I said, 20 pounds, you're definitely not severely obese. And got high blood pressure or heart problems or anything else as a result of being overweight. So let's just take first things first, month at a time, and let's do this smart.
I agree.
All right.
Thank you, Ron, again.
You're very welcome. Appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions for the call tonight?
Yes, please,
Yeah.
Ron. I have a question. So when you eat fresh fruit, does it, the sugars of the fruit, is that equivalent to regular, like does it count as a sugar when you eat that?
No, fructose is a little bit different than like your tabletop sugar. It comes from sugar beets and things like that. One, the crystalline, the way they produce sugar from the sugar beets, like holly sugar, CNH sugar, all that kind of stuff, that's refined sugar. And that's much, much higher in caloric content per gram than, say, a couple blueberries. Fructose, glucose, sucrose, it's all sugar. But sugar is not all sugar. Some's metabolized much faster than others. Like, for example, I really encourage people, because I see this a lot. They think, well, I'm going to have this smoothie of algae, but I'll dump in some blueberries and some raspberries and a banana maybe and some carrots. Well, carrots is loaded with sugar. Tomatoes is loaded with sugar. Vegetables that you wouldn't even think have sugar in them are loaded with sugar. Sugar snap peas. There's a reason why they call them sugar snap peas. They're loaded with sugar. And once in the body, they do break down at different rates, and that's going to spike your insulin or not, your glycemic index. So it's really important to kind of know what that is. But blueberries, you know, there's also another trade-off there. There's a huge benefit with that sugar. There is no benefit with table sugar. I'm just going to tell you that right now. There's no antioxidant properties. There's no antiviral properties. There's no immune properties. It's just sugar that's going to break down and ferment the protein, which makes up the tissues of the human body. That's all that is, whether you find it in Pepsi, whether you find it in your table sugar that goes in. But with fruits like raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, they are loaded with antioxidants, which are a tremendous benefit to the human body. And they have to go through digestion, so they're not going to spike your insulin levels nearly as bad as like table sugar or sweetened drink like Mountain Dew or Pepsi or Coke or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's the danger of refined sugars. But make no mistake about it, sugar is sugar. Once it gets through the full cycle of breakdown and use in the human body, it usually comes in the form of glycogen, which is actual mitochondria and cellular energy sugar. That's what it's all converted down to through the whole various processes of digestion. But yeah, so you can have sugar over here and sugar over here. At the end, it's going to be all glycogen, but get rid of the table sugar and start going to the fruit sugar.
Right.
Because carrots have carotenoids. They also have lutein, the tomatoes. There's other benefits that benefit the human body. Yes, you're going to have the sugar, but at least get the other benefits too. So it kind of counterbalances some of the negative effects of high sugar consumption. But you got to be careful with sugar. What's that?
Yeah. I was thinking with my shakes that I have, is it okay to add like things like bananas and grapes and stuff like that? Or basically have vegetable shakes?
No. You can add fruit for flavoring. Like I said, add the kind of fruit that have other benefits, like the antioxidant benefit. Some of it even has brain neurotransmitter benefits, like the blueberries and the raspberries. There's raspberry ketones. Dr. Oz used to talk about that all the time. Well, that comes from raspberries. So there's a lot of benefits we get. Yeah, there's that negative trade-off with just being a sugar source. But boy, look at all the other benefits you get. So if you're okay to limit the certain kinds of sugar, and blueberries, by the way, have the highest antioxidant to sugar ratio of any fruit source, just so everybody knows. Blueberries, I have nothing bad to say about them. They're not that much in sugar. They have good flavoring to where you add them into like your vegetable smoothies and stuff. If you like blueberries, I love blueberries. But boy, they have such tremendous antioxidant and neuro benefits for what little bit of sugar they have. That's one trade-off. Everybody should do that in the raspberries. When you go to a fruit source and want other benefits outside of sugar with a low sugar content with high benefits, raspberries and blueberries are the two best choices.
Okay. And what's your take on stevia, having stevia as a sugar?
Stevia is a plant. Stevia is just like a weed almost. It comes from a green plant. Stevia has zero sugar in it. And
Okay.
yet it flavors things like you put sugar in it.
Right.
That's the benefit of stevia. There's 0 calories of sugar in stevia. It's a plant. It's a green leaf. And if you can get stevia leaves, just put it in a Vitamix. Wow. I mean, just pick off 1 or 2 leaves, and it just tastes like you dumped about 4 tablespoons of sugar in there.
Oh,
You get
really?
the essential oils, you get all the other benefits, not just the great taste of sugar, but there's other benefits you're going to get by using the fresh green stevia plant.
So could we grow the stevia, I say, in Vancouver, in Canada?
Yeah,
Oh, we could. Okay, great. We'll try and
sure.
look for it then.
Absolutely. Yep.
Nice. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Yeah, stevia, you can pretty much go into any food market that sells dietary supplements, and you're going to be able to find stevia in capsules. You're going to find it in a granulated white kind of a powdery,
Yes,
sugary
we've been
packet.
using that for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always advocate, if you can get a stevia plant, save yourself some money. Because I'll
Right.
tell you what, that plant, once you get it about a foot tall, you couldn't
Uh-huh.
pick enough leaves off of that thing. I
Oh,
mean, just a couple little bits of leaves will sweeten up a cup of coffee or a glass of tea. 24 ounces. It's just like my spearmint leaves out here. I actually have stevia in my cupboard, and I picked in the spearmint leaves. I
Mhm.
pick the leaves fresh off of the vine. I only use the leaves, not the vine. Stick them in a Vitamix, and I got a 72-ounce pitcher. I jam-packed that Vitamix plumb full, about 3/4 of the way up. It's just packed with the leaves, and then I add water so I can actually get it to blend and mix. And then when I get done with that, I'll put in about maybe 1/4 of a teaspoon of my stevia leaves, or some light agave syrup, about 4 tablespoons. But I can literally make several gallons. In fact, I'll make it probably about 30, 35 gallons just off of that one concentrate of 3/4 full of the Vitamix pitcher. And that is the most refreshing drink, and there's nothing in it but benefit, 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 benefit.
Right.
And you could totally get off all of the Pepsi, the Mountain Dew, any carbonated sugar drink, and I mean, it's so healthy because there's no sugar in it.
Right.
And I drink that 3-4 gallons every single day during the summertime. That's why my weight just goes down to nothing during the summertime. I could actually lose 60 to 70 pounds in less than a couple of months just by
Wow.
drinking so much water. And water fills you up, so you're not going to be hungry at all.
Right.
Yep.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Anybody else have any questions, comments for the call
Yes.
tonight? Anybody? We're going over, so we're going to
I
have to
did.
start wrapping this up. Yeah.
Yeah, how you doing, Ron? This is Julian Bandelos, show's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I did have a question. So we did speak last time,
Yep.
a couple of months ago, about my autoimmune disease. And
Yep.
so I've been on the daily detox, and I've also been on the enzymes for several months now. And I did want to ask, so I did have 2 questions.
Okay.
One is about me taking, aside from the supplements of the daily detox and the enzymes, I'm also taking turmeric. So I'm taking turmeric because it's high in antioxidants, but
Correct. Yep.
I have to take it about 2 times a day unless my body will start having reactions later on. So I just wanted to ask you if there was any supplements that you would have that are high in antioxidants that I would possibly be able to take to replace the turmeric, because I have to take that numerous times a day. And then also I did want to ask if you actually have any books that you maybe produce or have on all this nutritional value that you're talking about.
Well, Dover and I will be dealing with that here in the coming near future as far as books and information. We're going to make a series of audios that will go up on the internet. Great
Awesome.
question. In fact, I'd like to have you and Joe kind of get on the line with Dover and I and Roderick so we can kind of brainstorm a little bit, because I need a customer's perspective. I am just
Okay.
way too up here all the time, and I just can't seem to get down and relate to where I used to be 30 years ago anymore. But that's important. I know that's important. I don't want to be talking over people. I want to be talking with people. I don't want to be talking at them. I want to be talking with them. So we all make sense. It's all simple. It's all detailed. But yet it's a message that everybody's looking for, or it's going to at least affect most of the masses. So that's the first thing. So let me back up and go back to your first question about the antioxidants. when you say you're taking turmeric, how much turmeric are you actually taking per day? Tablespoon, teaspoon,
So
give me a gram amount.
I would probably say about 2 tablespoons by breaking it up into 2 days. So in Costco, they have this turmeric mixture by Feel Good, and they just have like this little scoop, and I believe it comes out to about a tablespoon. So I take that in the morning with just water, and then it's 7 grams per scoop. And then at night, I take it with almond milk.
Okay, so you're looking at roughly 14 grams a day?
Correct.
Okay, because now here's the benefit of this. So I know you're familiar with our heart algae.
Yes.
Okay, so one of those capsules of heart algae, I'm just gonna go to vitamin C because I've never done a direct comparison to turmeric, but I know it's much higher than even the turmeric. And you're right, that's the next popular thing. It's right up there with probiotics. Everybody's got the antioxidant craze of it. But the fact of the matter is, turmeric is about the number 9 or 10 down on the ORAC scale as far as its antioxidant benefits. There's several products that are much, much higher in antioxidant value than just raw turmeric spice. The highest on that scale that I'm aware of, still to this very day, by at least double digits over the next closest thing, which is a hybrid grape out of Austria someplace. And it's used in a product called Mona V. It's very, very concentrated in antioxidant. But the heart algae, the astaxanthin, we are not only the highest in all the astaxanthins in the world market, but we're more than 5 times higher than the astaxanthins. And astaxanthin is the most powerful antioxidant free radical scavenger nutrient that there is anywhere on the planet Earth. Gram for gram. You could take 1 gram of that and compare it to 1 gram of turmeric. Turmeric wouldn't even come close. So, in fact, Linus Pauling did some research way, way, way back when he was doing cancer research and stuff on vitamin C. And one of the things they were talking about was this astaxanthin, and it wasn't even researched at the time that guy was alive. But he even talked about the extreme high properties of that red algae stuff. And he didn't quite understand where it came from. Well, today we definitely know where it comes from. And it is probably 5, at least our research anyway, shows if you compared it to Aquasearch, Cyanotech, Hawaiian Red, and there's one other company, and those are the 4 biggest companies in the world that supply astaxanthin algae into the marketplace. And I can take and compare mine to any one of those 5, and we come out a minimum of 4 times higher on every one of them. And the reason is all those companies grow their algae in an open pond outdoor environment. All of our algae is grown in 5 feet photoreactor biodome glass domes. It's all enclosed. So when you grow it in an outside environment, you lose control over the quality as well as the growth factor. Because one of the growth factors with algae is sunlight. But it's also the main growth factor for the fiber wall within the algae. So now even though you have a gram, and it's just like turmeric, this is the reason I'm bringing this up. Because turmeric, although there's a spice, there's some fiber in that spice where the turmeric is actually derived from. And so with the algae, the benefit of the photoreactive biodomes, we never ever grow the fiber wall. So we eliminate about 70% of the weight of the product. And now we've got 70% more astaxanthin because the fiber wall is never developed. We don't have to crack it down, remove it, and process it and all that stuff. And that's why you have such a very, very high antioxidant on the ORAC scale product, because it's pure antioxidants in every gram you're consuming. And it's not that it's so much better than Aquasearch, Cyanotech, or anything else, but they got to go through all this processing. And by the time you get through all the processing, you've lost a lot of the antioxidant quality benefits of the products just through the refinement trying to get to that gram to gram. And so we have the control 100% of the sunlight. We just heat up the glass. It turns the glass black. So, and that actually accelerates the enzymes and the development of the nutritional properties of the astaxanthin we produce. The heating up of the water to turn the glass black. Well, with enzymes, anytime you elevate and increase the heat, the faster the enzyme activity. So you actually develop the product much faster, and you don't have all of this processing to break down all the extra stuff, which doesn't have any nutritional value or antioxidant benefit. So that's the first thing. We can really, the antioxidant we have. In fact, I'm going to share something with you. I don't know if you were on this call several weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago. In March of 2000, this year, we were voted the best. Actually, we came in number 2, the second best new product introduced into the sports nutrition nutraceutical world worldwide. We took second place in that.
Wow.
With our astaxanthin product that we use in our hard algae product, because it increases the mitochondria of the cell dramatically. It protects the mitochondria of the cell, and it protects the cell membrane. So your actual cell has a much longer life of functioning because of the antioxidant property of the astaxanthin. And that's one of the big write-ups that they had. And in fact, I got an article that was written up about it. I should actually post it up on the internet so everybody can see it. But so to answer your first question, hard algae would be a much better alternative if you're looking just for antioxidant properties. And the other benefit about the astaxanthin, which is one of the limiting properties of pycnogenol versus grapeseed extract, is astaxanthin readily crosses the blood-brain barrier. Pycnogenol, the white pine bark, the proanthocyanin property in that product, that readily crosses the blood-brain barrier. With turmeric, with grapeseed extract, and some of these other antioxidants, they never ever cross the blood-brain barrier. To get things to go over the blood-brain barrier to the interior tissue of the brain is extremely difficult. The brain has a barrier that protects it from all this environmental stuff, oxidation as well as exposure.
So I was, before taking turmeric numerous times a day, I was also taking black seed oil, and I was taking up to, I believe, 15 to 20 milliliters of black seed oil a day, and that was kind of like equivalent to what I'm taking now with the turmeric.
Correct.
But honestly, like, the turmeric is just a little bit cheaper. The black seed oil is kind of a little bit expensive.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, you've got, like you said, 7 grams, and it would take about probably 5 of the hard algae to get up to a full gram of actual hard algae material. But then you look at the properties of that 7 gram for antioxidant value versus the 1 gram of the astaxanthin. I know we're way, way higher over the antioxidant benefits for that 7 grams of turmeric with just the 1 gram of the hard algae.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for answering that question. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Very welcome. I think we had one other question on the line, and then we're going to have to go for this evening.
Real quick before another question comes up, astaxanthin, how do you spell that? Is that A-S-T-A-X-A-N-T-H-I-N?
Yes, Asta is A-S-T-A, and then xanthin is X-A-N-T-H-A-N, astaxanthin, just like it sounds, but the xan is X-A-N.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have any last minute questions, comments?
Really quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm new to your products, so I'm taking my issue mostly. Pardon?
What's your name?
Andrea.
Andrea, welcome to our call. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. So I'm new to your product. I started taking the enzymes, and then I added the Immune FX in the daily dose.
The Steromax?
The Immune FX.
I'm not sure what that is. We have the Steromax for our immune builder.
Oh, okay. So I eat clean. I drink a lot of water. I still have more of an issue with feeling dehydrated, and I took my pH, and I've never been really too acidic because I eat really well and stuff, but it's very alkaline.
Yeah, let me ask you something real simple, because this is going to answer most people's problems with they drink a lot of water and yet they're still thirsty all the time. Have you ever had your salt levels measured?
No.
Make sure you're not sodium deficient. Because if your body lacks in sodium, like my daughter, my niece, I mean, there's people around me almost having heart attacks and strokes because they weren't retaining water because their sodium levels were so low. That's what allows your body to hold on to to hydration when you're drinking a lot of water. If your sodium levels are low, you could go through 3 gallons and literally drop over from a stroke because of severe dehydration.
Okay.
So that's the
So-
first thing to check. If you are drinking a lot of water and you should be hydrated, first thing I do is just check your sodium levels, make sure that you're not low in sodium. And my question to you is, do you actually like salt in your diet, or are you one of these people that just, no, I hate
don't.
salt? I'd almost bet you're sodium deficient right off the bat.
Okay. So am I getting
Why
it
you're
from,
not retaining that hydration and getting all those benefits.
right? So am I getting the sodium from like celery, or where am I getting it from?
Table salt, just any old place you can get. There's not much sodium in celery because there's not that much sodium in the grounds. You almost have to get sodium from some kind of a sea salt. Definitely, I would encourage you to get it from a sea salt or some kind of salt like that. Real Salt brand is a real good brand. That's out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Try not to ever get anywhere near iodized salt. Iodized salt has so much oxidation and free radical damage with it. That's one of the worst salts you can get a hold of, and yet that's about the only salt that anybody serves in a restaurant anymore. But try to get good quality, low sodium salts, and that's always going to be your sea salts.
Okay, so would that cause the alkalinity of my body to be too alkaline?
No, in order for your body to be high alkalinity, you have to be able to be hydrated first. Because once you're hydrated, then your oxygen, your pH will go up because your body's able to process and hold on to oxygen better. It's not being in an acid pH, you're in an alkaline. Alkaline really means high oxygen pH. Because if you took a litmus strip and you put it under your tongue and then you held it out in the air, you held it out for 15 minutes, that would eventually go from that yellow or green or that light blue to a purple. And what did you actually do? You held it out in an environment that is the highest pH you can go, which is in pure oxygen out in the room. You're holding that pH strip in. So, yeah, oxygen is always going to be directly related to pH. Potential for hydrogen, and that's oxygen, H2O, and water, and all of that.
Okay, so the protein digestion, that's really basically the enzymes then.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can have a proper pH and still not have the necessary amino acids or the nutrients in order to maintain a healthy metabolism in a functioning organ body. And that's the thing about pH. pH is just a little bit misleading. I mean, pH is important because it's going to tell you your oxygen levels, it's going to tell you your hydration levels, and those are both tied together in the whole pH process. But having an alkaline pH has its benefits. It means that your body's in an environment to where it should be the most easily and the most efficient functioning environment for the cellular body to function within. That's what the pH gives you. But that pH is definitely going to go way off if you become dehydrated, if you become nutritionally deficient. That higher pH is not going to protect you from a whole lot of other areas where your body's going to fall down tremendously. It actually creates cancers and things like that. Now, with that being said, one of the ways that your body can create cancer faster than anything is having a low internal body pH. And like I said, when usually you have a low pH, you're going to also be able to stick your finger in that little meter reader for your index finger that measures your oxygen. You're going to see people that have cancer always have low oxygen in their blood, 92, 87, 85, 83. They're not oxygenated at all, and that's why they have cancer. Cancer thrives in a low pH or a low oxygenated body. And so, yeah, when you raise up the pH, you're usually raising up oxygen as well. I just got back from a doctor literally on Monday. I went to a nerve specialist for the damage on the bottom of my feet from a severe burn. But he looked at my thing and he says, holy crap. He says, it's 100%. And I said, you sound like that's rare. He said, most people come in are in the low 90s. And I said, you can test mine anytime, any day of the week, no matter before or after protein. Mine's always near 100.
Yeah,
I know all the time. And that's because I take the enzymes. I don't allow that sticky mucousy protein to clog up my red blood cells that would lower my oxygenation capability. And that's what really happens when you start to see the pH of the body go down. So many people don't digest their proteins and it gets in the bloodstream, clogging up the red blood cells, massing them together by the thousands, called erythrocyte aggregation. Erythrocyte is a red blood cell. And that actually will lower the overall oxygen and pH of the body down to a pH where it's disease, like cancer, is the perfect environment to grow in. So one of the first things I always do is start taking the digestive enzymes with the meals, and sometimes in a cancer patient in between meals, to get those red blood cells all completely freed up, where they have the highest amount of surface area and the greatest degree of oxidation potential. And just by doing that alone, that usually will completely change the course of a cancer patient.
Okay. All right, thank you. So just salt. Do you think I need to add anything else aside from the enzymes and the salt?
I don't think so. Like I said, as long as you're taking the enzymes, you should get great digestion of everything else. Do you have any disease issues that you're looking with, or
No.
what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish, I guess?
I'm just trying to stay balanced. Like, I've eaten really clean for many, many years, and it's just kind of keeping things tweaked. But my biggest issue was really not digesting the proteins well. I had mercury toxicity, and that threw my system way out of whack.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Well,
been
the
a
enzymes
little
should
bit.
completely take care of that. And like I said, the only second thing is your immune system, because your immune system and its efficiency of functioning is really what dictates the quality of life the person's going to live through every day throughout their lifespan. When your immune system is revved up, strong, and active, nothing can affect you. Your immune system, a foreign bacteria, a foreign organism, a foreign pathogen, a foreign chemical like mercury, your immune system has the ability to eliminate all of that stuff as soon as it becomes part of the body and circulating, way before it ever gets stored. But you have to have big cells, you have to have a nice clean blood environment, and then you have to have a really good, strong immune system. And when you got that, it's like you're living life with magic. It's pain-free, lots of energy. People look at you like, wow, you don't even look anywhere near your age, and those kind of things, you know.
Yeah, yeah. All right, awesome. Thank you so much.
All righty, thank you. Okay,
Ron,
Dover.
can I just ask one fast question, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Since you mentioned Monterey, what's your take on the goji juice?
Goji juice is good. I've actually, when I lived in Hawaii, I ate goji berries all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
Yeah,
and now I'm
I
going to
used to
tell you
have that
something.
quite
The
often
benefit
before.
of that product is a protease enzyme. It's just like noni from the noni fruit.
Right.
There's zeaxanthin and prozeaxanthin in that. Well, zeaxanthin is a protease enzyme. Prozeaxanthin is the alkaloids that activate that enzyme: magnesium, calcium, and zinc. So they made up all of this stuff for noni, the noni company. Moringa is another one. And it's just simple nutrition. And I don't like the bells, smokes, winners, and misleading of all of that hype stuff. I want to tell you exactly what zeaxanthin is, prozeaxanthin, how it works, why it works, what you can do to make it work. So like I said, you know, goji is really good. It's got antioxidants, got some neurological properties to it. But again, it's just a fruit. You got to eat a lot of it to benefit from it. But it is a good product. I'm not going to say nothing bad about it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Dover, you there? Let's go ahead and close this out for tonight.
I'm here. Absolutely. What a bunch of great questions, a lot of great information. Appreciate everyone sticking around and being on the call with us. Ron, appreciate you and your answers. And I learned something every single time I listen to you. So appreciate you. With that, we'll be here next week, everyone. So come back if you have questions, bring guests, and we'll do it again next week. So with that, we'll make this call a wrap. Everyone have a great evening, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, you too, Ron.